Hello, everyone. I am Haley Arv, and this is Lori. We are going to be doing another case today, the famous Gabby Petito, who very unfortunately passed last September of 2021 at the hands of her boyfriend, Brian, who then committed suicide, as we now have discovered. And so we are going to go in and break down this case a little bit, connecting with Gabby, reading Brian and his family's energy, seeing what we can gather through psychic and mediumship interpretation. And then Lori does face readings and handwriting analysis. So we're also going to be checking out Brian's suicide note. Right, Lori?
Yes, we have the note, and we're going to be taking just a bit of an in-depth behind the scenes look at what was going on through the note.
Yeah. And we're going to do the best we can. Of course, this is a solved case. So it's really going to be going in there and just reading energy, connecting to the other side and seeing what they have to say and what they want to share with us. Obviously, it's kind of a weird, twisted situation. So it's going to be really interesting to see what the note has to tell us from Brian and what his energy says. And we're going to kind of open that door and get the real inside look that only psychics can do. So it's going to be fun. So with that, let's go ahead. I'm going to bring up a little awesome thing that happened. Now, back when this case started making news headlines, here you go. So I used to ask, or I asked question, let people ask questions in a question box. And somebody asked me one day before I knew anything about this, where is Gabby Petito? Can you help find her? And I was like, what does that even mean? But I just tuned in and asked my sister, like, who is Gabby? What do I need to know about her? And this was my response to that question, having no idea who Gabby was. I said, I am seeing trees, coldness, and trees. I hope that helps. And then I did the picture of the trees, obviously, behind. Now, once I realized who Gabby was, I obviously was interested in, like, oh my gosh, I was seeing trees. What does this mean? Because they didn't know where she was. At this point, nobody knew that she had passed. And so I decided to use my mediumship abilities to see if she was passed while they were like frantically looking for her. Nobody knew where she was. I wanted to see if I could pick up on her energy and see if she was passed or not. So on September 17th, 21, this was 2 days, I believe, before she was found, I called her in and I wrote this note. I said, I called in Gabby today. She was glowing and happy and such a beautiful soul. She was in fact in spirit, which tells me she did unfortunately pass. She talked about her boyfriend and how he has a chemical imbalance in his brain, and he was the one. She showed me her being pushed like into a ravine, strangled and left. It almost seemed like he didn't mean to, in his rational mind anyway. She told me Jackson or something like it, and she said Teton. A couple of days before, someone asked me in my question box if I could help find Gabby. I had a typo there, Petito, or what her name is. I didn't know about the case then. I didn't know if it was a missing beloved Stuffy, a dog, a human, no clue. I called in my sister who's passed to help me. I saw a frightened young girl in the cold in the forest, and I saw either a tent or a tarp. It was blue. I answered with, where it is cold in the forest. Once I knew who she was, I also saw a knife and had a very creepy, eerie feeling about all of it. The only person I shared all of my connection and vision with was my husband. Gabby told me there was, a boy, like a brother she wanted to send love to, which we now know she actually has just a brother, so that makes sense. Send love to, and tell me she was already watching over her family. I also heard a J name, like Josh. She kept telling me over and over, which both of her father's names start with a J. And so that's also accurate and true, because one of her father's names is, I think her main, I shouldn't say main, but let me just see here. So she has Joseph, which is her dad, and then James is her stepfather, but Joseph is really close to Josh. So I think that that's who she was trying to communicate to. She wanted everyone to know she is okay and at peace. She is a loving, kind soul who tried to see the best in people like she did her boyfriend. She was confused and pleaded with him. I also read Brian's photograph, So this is just all pre-context. This happened, about a year ago that I did this, but we're going to break it down a little bit further. And I saw computers and a weird social awkwardness to him, but also saw possibly schizophrenia setting in. Definitely a brain imbalance. I don't think he intended to hurt anyone, but he's odd and mentally ill. How did I get a vision of it playing out? That he would be found and tried and come out with the truth with tons of shame. Be considered mentally insane and wouldn't get as much time as he should, but justice would be served. Now that part I got kind of wrong and right at the same time, because justice was served, but he didn't serve time. And that was kind of what she made me feel like. It wasn't the way that it was, people wanted it to be, that he took his life. So I think, obviously just a random reading, doing it on my couch in my living room by myself, is going to come out with some flaws. But what I do think is really crazy is that this was a couple days before they found her body, before they had determined her cause of death, and she was in fact strangled by him. She was found in Jackson in the Teton Mountains. So everything she told me was completely spot on. And for whatever reason, I just decided to save this note, and now it's coming to you because we're doing this reading. So yeah, it's pretty crazy, but that was my original reading. And so now for you, she is here again. I feel like she's excited and wants to come through with information and like help out, if she can. But it's really, her message over and over is that she kind of feels like this is a mental health issue. And she wants to bring awareness to that she is like such an empath and lover and just sweet soul. I think that she fell into this relationship because she was the, perfect victim of abusive situations where she just wanted to like help him. She loved him so much and wanted to be that person for him that could help him through his trauma and his trouble and his mental illness. She's definitely the kind of person who just kind of like, she was easily taken advantage of because she just loved so big and she just wanted to live a happy life. She has like just this positivity about her, like bubbliness and glowing kind of, just wanted to make people happy and smile. Like she's the kind of energy that would have been enough for her to just bring joy to other people, I think. So let me just see what else she wants me to know or about her energy in general. Obviously, we know she loved the outdoors, and you can see that she's showing me her like traveling around, really feeling connected to nature. And I keep seeing like flowers with her. Like she liked to pick flowers. I feel like she did like pretty things. And it's really interesting because I feel her energy. She's like outside is her happy place and like taking in the fresh air, like mountain air, just breathing it in. And that's what she's showing me now. So she just wants to convey like how at peace she is, how happy she is. I feel like she's on the other side with the grandmother figure that was really close to her. Now this is different because we just did a case a couple weeks ago where it was kind of the opposite effect. She wants her family to kind of just move on and not worry too much about like lawsuits or anything like that. She just wants them to like find peace in their own life and know that she's happy on the other side. Let's see. Yeah, she's just kind of like, she's just so smiley, and her eyes, she's just like sparkly and smiley and innocent. She has such an innocence to her, like a sweet, calm innocence. I also wonder if she worked, I feel like I'm seeing her working like with an apron on, like almost like a deli or like ice cream shop or something like that. I don't know if she worked at any jobs like that, but I'm seeing something with that. And I'm also hearing, I wonder if she had a dog named like Scooter. I feel like I'm hearing the name Scooter or Pet, somebody named that. And let's see, anything else? Yeah, she always knew, I mean, obviously, because she was on the other side, but she kind of watched the world watching this case, and she just wants to thank everybody for like all the prayers and love that they sent her way. She knew how it was going to end before it did, like that they would find him. What's interesting is what she's showing me now is actually Brian, when he was like in the reserves where he talked to her all the time after he like killed her. He was constantly talking to her, like telling her, I'm sorry, I miss you. I actually am getting this sense right now as I connect to this that, like we've kind of talked about, it's clear that he even though he was her murderer, he was like obsessed with her and loved her so much that besides feeling shame, it's like I feel like he took his own life to go be with her, is kind of how that's coming through. Let's see. Okay. I also wonder if she played sports. I feel like I'm seeing softball, something like that. And she just wants her family to know that she'll always be there watching over, and that they can talk to her anytime and she'll be there and listen, and she'll be watching out for her little brother. I was wondering if he also plays sports. There's like a sports connection, like baseball, softball, or something. Yeah, she's just so sweet and innocent, and I feel she really wants her case to bring awareness to the world about domestic violence, mental health, and a big message that she's trying to bring forward too is, like, you see this smiley picture of this girl. Behind closed doors, she was afraid, she suffered, she was like abused, and just things aren't always what they seem. And that's what she wants people to really understand, like the dynamics of that. And I feel like she's like a woman's activist, like wanting to get women to know that it's okay to leave. Like you can love somebody and still leave because they're not good for you. So that message feels really important as well. And she wishes she would have left. All the times before, she says that she thought about it and she didn't because she loved him so much, but it was a losing battle, obviously. And if she would have had more strength or more like personal strength and confidence, she would have left earlier, but she just didn't have that. She just kept thinking she could try to work it out, that he could get better, that she was going to be the one to save him. And it just didn't work out that way. So that's really sad. But I hope that that message from her helps somebody to find the strength or confidence to leave a situation, and that you don't have to like hide behind a smile, that you can share what you're going through with people. And just like I said, like she's saying, you can still love somebody and know that they're not good for you, and you can move on and have a happy life. So that's what she wants her passing to bring to other people, is like awareness around the situation. So yeah. Anyway, so that is Gabby's energy. I'll see, she's going to stay here with us and we'll see if anything else comes up. Brian. Okay, so, and Lori has some photos too, but I'm just going to kind of connect to Brian's energy and see what I get that's new that I didn't already say. There's obviously definitely a darkness. We can tell that. Now, yeah. With him, it's like so much is happening in his brain and down like inside that he doesn't express. He's definitely one of these people that puts on the facade too to the world that he's something that he's not. I do think that he wanted to be good. I mean, who doesn't want to be good, you know, but with him, it was like he wanted to be, he wanted to kind of fit the mold, but he knew that he didn't, and he knew that he like couldn't and wouldn't ever be that traditional like knight in shining armor guy. He just had too many demons inside. So let me just see what I'm picking up with his energy. Okay. What I am getting, I'm kind of talking to Gabby, connecting on behalf of Brian to try to get information. And what I'm hearing from her is that he actually threatened to kill himself, is like some kind of act of love, multiple times. Like that his suicide, even though he killed himself because he killed Gabby, it was like he had suicidal thoughts and thoughts about death and these thoughts around killing himself and others, like in his dark moments. Because he definitely, I still get the fact that he has like some kind of mental imbalance, chemical imbalance, where he can function kind of normally, but then he goes into this really, really dark thought place, like and would think about killing. And so he had expressed that to her, and she viewed it kind of as like this just lost boy in a way and wanted to help that, but there clearly was no helping him. He was just kind of too far gone. But I think that a way that he used to manipulate her was to say that he would kill himself if like she ever left or anything. So he would really use like these manipulation tactics with her to keep her around. And then of course when the cops come, just saying, oh no, and like shifting blame to Gabby, like anybody could believe that she was capable of doing anything bad, because she is just like this glowing, beautiful, innocent girl. And so he wasn't very successful at that, but he really thought he was pretty, he thought he was riding high, like he had things figured out. His game that he would play, he thought he was like the master king of his game. And that it's just this, it's the typical like abusive thing I'm hearing, like if he couldn't have her, nobody would, so he killed her, you know, like, and killed himself to go be with her. Very, very, very manipulative. The manipulation is like so thick with his energy that it, yeah, with people like this, it just, ugh. I think that he's the kind of person, if I were to see in real life, I'd probably like feel like I was gonna throw up, because you can just feel it. But he really thought he was playing a good game. Like he really thought he was appearing to the world as this like cool, like hipster, you know, like internet social media guy. And that was not the real deal, obviously, but just kind of repeating what a lot of people already know about him. But like I said, like almost a year ago, or in September of last year, I see him like this dark side with computers, like looking at things on computers. There's something about him going dark there. So like researching different things that feel dark. Let's see. I'm just gonna kind of dig in real quick to see if I can pick up on his energy from childhood or anything like that. So with him, I definitely see some things of not feeling loved enough, but it got real twisted. And I feel like with him, he was kind of born with these faltered brain systems that like, it just didn't work. He was never going to be able to like be good, be a good person, because he always had this kind of darkness in his system. Does that make sense what I'm saying? I don't know. So anyway, that's what I'm getting from him. I see rage, extreme rage with him. So when I go back and picture his childhood, I see him not knowing how to control his anger, having no control over it, like slamming doors and just feeling so furious that he had no grasp of his rage, and there was nobody there to like comfort him or help him like nurture that problem that he had. So that's really sad and unfortunate. It's another person that I feel like was failed, you know, as far as parenting goes, and turned into somebody that ended up taking somebody's life, and that's really devastating. So yeah, that's what I'm getting from him. I'm gonna go ahead and let you bring up yours, Lori.
Yes, the whole time I was just like, yes, yes, yes. I mean, I'm just seeing these things that you're talking about in their faces. And let's see, I'm pulling mine up now. Let's see here. So yes, it's interesting, the dynamic. We were kind of talking about the dynamic earlier. The dynamic is just so interesting with them. If you look at their faces, she's got some features in her face that say that she's just an extremely loyal person.
Yeah.
And that loyalty is so important to her. And he's got features in his face that say that obsession is a big part of his personality. And I know that in a domestic abuse situation, this can kind of be a match, right? Some women feel like the obsession is loyalty, but it's not really. And things get really, really twisted. So she's loyal, he's obsessive, and he's got a lot of violence in his face. And interestingly, Gabby, if you look at her nose, that middle picture there, I wish I had a pointer. That middle picture there, if you look at her nose, there's a little bit of a flatness to the ridge of her nose. And this is somebody who's by the time this picture was taken, was used to fighting. Fighting had been something she was used to. And so that will kind of flatten out. My husband was a police officer for a long time, and his picture before, he didn't have a flat spot in his picture. After getting enough rough and tumble fights with criminals, he had this flat spot. So this is something that happens after there's enough fighting going on. One thing that's interesting about her is the way that you described her captures her really well. I got from her face also that she's just vibrant, intelligent, energetic, a go-getter. She had these dreams. She is a visionary type person who sees very far into the future and can meticulously plan for the future. That's in her face. Also, we know that she meticulously planned this trip, and that's in her eyes.
Creative as well. Sorry to interrupt you, but when you said visionary, I feel like she's also very creative.
Yes, and creative. And there's some people in this world that are more thinkers, and some people in this world that are more doers. The way that her face is structured with the face can be split up into 3 segments. So you have your forehead, your midsection, and then your lower section. And when the forehead is bigger than the other 2, that's someone who is very much a thinker. Brian Laundrie has more thinking going on, which fits totally. I totally see what you're talking about with like dark computer stuff. That fits so well with what his face looks like. And she's got more face in the lower 2, which is someone who's a doer. They want to go do things and experience things. And that's what I'm seeing in her face. She's just more of a doer, adventure planning. Also, she's more independent. He's more codependent, which is interesting because I think it culminated in her kind of wanting to go, like you're saying, Haylie, and then him with this obsessiveness, just not being able to let go. And we see he's got a lot of features for cruelty in his face. His eyebrows are so dense and so thick. And that's someone who is okay with risky behavior and taking risky behavior. That's in his face. Also, he's got a blown up sense of confidence, which is interesting because he's got situational ethics also. So when someone doesn't have a real prominent jawbone in the back and the face kind of sinks in, which his does, he's got what's called situational ethics. And there's a light side and a dark side to every feature. But with situational ethics, the dark side, it's dark when it's paired with other dark features. And Haylie would agree with me, he's got lots of dark features.
Yeah,
so, when you pair situational ethics with dark features, the way that it comes out is somebody who's okay breaking the law, who's okay doing whatever it takes to serve their needs in the moment. And that's what he has. The light side of it is somebody who just can fit in well in any situation. They can chameleonize to a situation and just kind of go with the flow wherever they are. That's the light side. The dark side is like breaking the law.
Yeah.
He's got some other features in his face. And his parents have the same thing with law breaking too.
Yeah. Ooh, we'll get to that in a moment. Can I just mention another thing I see? Sorry.
Absolutely.
With his face, with your pictures, I keep seeing him again in this socially awkward setting. And his eyes, like if you were to talk to him, I think that his eyes kind of wouldn't go in the right place. Just super awkward. And Like if he was trying to have a conversation with somebody, they'd be like, what's wrong with this guy? Because he's like looking down, looking around, not making eye contact. Or if he is making contact, it's like kind of scary, like a threatening kind of look. And it's just not normal, not socially normal. I definitely see that awkwardness, like doesn't fit in type of thing with him. I keep seeing it over and over as you were talking. So I just had to mention that too.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I see that in his face. And I saw so many interesting things when I was looking at him. It's just this interesting amalgamation of sort of this like inflated ego with violence, with risky behavior, that when you were saying mental illness, I'm like, yeah, that totally fits. So I think that explains it. Also, one thing I wanted to point out is in the upper right picture, you can see his ear there, and you can see how it's like lumpy, bumpy. It's interesting looking.
Yeah.
That is severe child abuse. So Brian Laundrie has gone through a lot of child abuse, younger growing up. Our ears are going to show between 0 to 14 years if you take both ears in account. And so that's severe child abuse in his ears there, which you'll see will make sense as we check out his parents later on. So I'm going to move on and look at his suicide note, which I think is very fascinating. Do you have anything else, Haylie, before I move on? Anything else?
Yeah, I do. Just also with these pictures, there is this kind of chemistry. Like she was she had 1 foot in, 1 foot out because she wanted to help him so badly, and she did love him. And it's the classic abuse thing. She wanted back how it was in the beginning and what could have been, but she stuck around. He felt like, again, this obsessive thing, like she was the only person that could ever understand him. I feel like he really hated people in general. And so I keep hearing angel, like she was this angel, and he saw her that way as well. Like she's the only person on this earth that will ever understand me. And her being such an empath and being such like an angelic soul felt like, how can I deny that? I'm the only person that can help him. And so she almost felt like this responsibility to him. And I think she battled with herself a lot on, I'm just kind of repeating, but it's just coming through again strong, like wanting to help him however she could. I feel like she wanted to be friends with him and help him in a friend way because she knew she had to get away, but he just wasn't going to let her do that. He's like, you're the only person ever that will ever understand me. And they shared a lot of things, and it made her feel good that he was open with her. And that just, spiraled into what happened. And so it's sad that such a beautiful, like angelic soul like her was manipulated into that bad situation. And it's sad too that he thought that he couldn't be saved by anybody except for this one girl. It's just it's
right. Put all of his energy into her.
Yeah.
And she is a very untrusting person. That's in her face too. Her eyebrows are very, very high. Her eyes are very closed down. This is someone who's very untrusting. She's been through some crap in the past and doesn't trust people. And then you have Brian, and she's got this connection to him, and she wants to help him. And she is so interested in loyalty. It's like once she starts something with someone, she doesn't want to just abandon it, like you're saying. And so it just becomes this interesting relationship of obsession and loyalty and untrusting, so unable to leave, and just him obsessing. And she's a clever person. That's in her eyes. She's very smart, very clever. She thinks a step ahead of other people. But I think, like you're saying, Haylie, she thought ahead, like, I can save him. I can fix this, he's a fixer upper, right? And how many times have we done that? Be with somebody and you're like, wait a minute, they're just a fixer upper. Like if I just, tweak this or tweak that, or get them to understand this about themselves, maybe they could be amazing. And we stick it out because we think we can fix this person. But I think her message is a beautiful message that, sometimes it's time to leave and it's time to go. And it's important for us as women to recognize when it is time to leave. And
And I think that this case too it's really a case of abuse. I mean, narcissistic abuse from him. And I'm kind of seeing some nitty gritty details just to add in of when it actually took place. And I really do feel like it's because she had had enough and she wanted to leave and he just wasn't going to let her. And that's what it came to.
Yeah. And that's so fitting with the way their face looks. That's like, yeah, absolutely. I see that too. I see that as being the case too. So I'm going to move on to this next slide here. So what we've got here is Brian Laundrie's suicide note. And you can look this up online if you want to read the whole thing. I don't have the entire thing here. Maybe I kind of do. Yeah, I guess I do. Anyway, so just a couple things that I thought were interesting in the suicide note, because handwriting analysis just fascinates me. So we've got a lot of creepy stuff in here. First of all, if you look at this lower left picture, if you look at how he wrote Gabby, this just puts chills up and down my spine, because what he did is he exaggerated the first letter of her name so big. If you look at it in comparison to even how he wrote mom and dad, she was everything. She was his main focus, his main obsession. I mean, this is just creepy. I would like to see some writing from before. This is a suicide note, but what's interesting in this is there's lots of club strokes. A club stroke is where you take the pen and you push really hard and there's a blunt edge and it's muddy. So you can see how this is a very muddy writing. And yeah, it looks like it was written with like a felt pen, and also it's very muddy. And a club stroke shows cruelty. And writing is broken up into 3 levels, just like the face, right? If you have a line, there's a midsection, and then anything that goes above is in the upper zone, and anything that goes below is the lower zone. The lower zone in handwriting is the physical world. And so if you look at a club stroke and it's in the physical world, which is this Y down here on Gabby, this Y is definitely would be considered a club stroke. It goes all the way down the lower zone, which is the zone of the physical. And so this is physical cruelty. And then you see how the Y kind of goes backwards. Like instead of going around like a normal Y, it goes backwards. Yeah. This is antisocial cruelty. This is above and beyond cruel. This is I murdered someone cruelty. So we've got that in her name there. The other thing I found interesting, if you go to the slide on the right, it says, "Please forgive me for all that has happened and all that I have put everyone through." And if you look at through, the T on it looks like a pitchfork. And so handwriting analysis looks a lot at symbolism. And the symbolism there is that he's very aware that he put everyone through hell, especially her family, which if you look down at the other underlined part, it says Gabby's family. He hated Gabby's family. And I just thought that's interesting. You can see that here. So the rest of the note is kind of going straight or up. And then when it gets to family, referring to Gabby's family tilts down. Yes. This is a very big dislike for Gabby's family. He probably never liked him, doesn't like him now, and never liked him.
I think he hated everybody in the world, to be honest with you, except for Gabby.
I think you're right. He's very antisocial. And if you look at his Y, it goes straight down and it doesn't have any curve on it, except when he's talking about Gabby, which he curves backwards because he killed her. It goes straight down, and that straight down Y is antisocial. It's just somebody who would prefer not to be around other people. They might have 1 or 2 people that they're very, very close with. So absolutely very fitting with what you intuited. So going back down, it's interesting because if you look at forever, you see how the R reaches forward. He really does believe that he will be with his family forever. And I think that it actually fits a lot with what you were saying earlier, Haylie, how he killed himself to be with Gabby. Yeah. I think that that's accurate. I think he's reaching out. Like, what's odd is most suicide letters, the writing slants downward because the person is in a place of distress and unhappiness and severe sadness. His does not slant downward. He did not have bad feelings about dying. It actually, if anything, goes slightly upward, which means he was looking forward to dying, which is even creepier to me. That's
really creepy.
Right? This suicide note, I keep getting chills as I'm talking about it. It's creepy. The other thing that's interesting is if you look at in the bottom, we see a B here where he signed B. I circled that. To the left of that, there's an arrow and it's pointing to some very strange dots. Why are you putting these weird dots in here? This is odd. These dots are telling a tale. So if you look at it, there's 2 dots separate. Then the 2 dots get more violent, right? They get kind of muddy. They get like it's not a club stroke here, but it's just like a dug in muddiness, which would probably represent the fight. Then the 2 lines merge into one. He kills her. Then we see 2 dots very spaced far apart. Gabby's gone. So those dots right there literally tell the story. That totally creeped me out too. Then we look at this bee over here, and he's got this squiggle underneath it. He's literally putting himself on this giant pedestal, and this shows his exaggerated ego, his exaggerated love of the self. It's and the way he put it, it's kind of like the bee is flying away, like, yeah, I'm about to kill myself and fly off to heaven, like,
Yeah.
like, and he really believes he's going to a good place. You can tell.
Yeah.
He's going to a great, he's just like, it's all good. I'm so excited to kill myself and go be with Gabby. And hey, I'm okay if I leave my family because I love you so much and I'm going to see you all forever. This is definitely a mentally ill person.
Yeah,
like, I think you just hit the nail on the head with that, Haylie. Like, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
I feel that. I have to add something to this. When you were talking about the dots, I just got this like intuitive hit that he, you know, I don't know, sometimes I think people maybe write a note and then keep it like for a day or for a couple days. As you were talking about this, I just got this feeling that he wrote this and like immediately killed himself after writing it. Like it feels very close together with his actual suicide. Those dots even, I mean, it feels almost like it was like a shaky kind of like last minute thing that he did, like one of the last things that came onto the paper right before he did it.
Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah.
That gives me chills. So creepy. And then look at the eye. The way that we write I represents how we feel about ourselves. And if you
It's
just
bigger than everything on the paper.
Yeah, it's huge. Look how big the eye is. This guy loves himself. He's just got this incredibly twisted, inflated ego. So that just really stood up to me. So anyway, fascinating letter. I really enjoyed checking out this. This was a great suicide note to check out from a handwriting perspective. So I know we've got the parents coming up. Should we switch over to your slide since you have?
Sure, we can start with mine and then we'll go back to yours because I have a photo of his sister as well.
Yes, which I didn't pull up a photo of his sister, so I'm fascinated to see that.
Yeah. Okay. And the background on the parents and everything a little bit is that, and there was just a case by Gabby's family a couple days ago that they knew or suspectedly knew where Gabby's body was when Brian came home, and they took him on vacation knowing, being fully aware where her body was. And so obviously that's some shady stuff. So we'll kind of touch on that, but it was really hard to find. The only pictures we have are with glasses on of his mom. So this is Brian Laundrie's family, his mother, father, and sister. So, okay. Okay. So when I'm just going to kind of do a whole group read here. Okay. There's a lot coming through. There's definitely this whole thing with all of them about like just kind of hating life in general. With mom Roberta, I think it's almost more from her than anybody, just like really hated her life is what I get. Just unhappy, just kind of settled into this is what my life is and I'm just going to live it and I'm just going to do this and that. She feels very much kind of like a routine person who just does the same things each day, doesn't look forward to anything really, just kind of goes through the motions of life. I definitely see some PTSD with her, but also just a real coldness. There's this, it's like she feels to me like she gave up in a lot of ways. Like I can't even, I'm not even, it's like so far back to the point that she gave up and just settled into this pattern of, oh, okay, this is like what life is. This is what I have to deal with. So that comes through with her. Dad feels very like authoritative, bossy, controlling, which is a lot of the things we kind of saw with Brian. Feels like he's got to be in charge of all things at all times, also seeing a kind of cruelty behind closed doors. Mm-hmm. He kind of also has that like weird sickness, kind of like evilness. Ugh, it's hard to say that like on a Zoom video, but or a YouTube video. It's a little dark in there is what I'm seeing. And it's like, again, behind closed doors, not for the public. But with him, I'm also getting this kind of grossly sexual dark side as well. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to figure out who with which one of these I'm getting this hit on, but one of them is like disconnected from the family completely, like their own family, because they don't agree with certain aspects. It might be so Roberta might have like early on in the marriage or something expressed dissatisfaction, and I feel like there's family members that were like not in contact because they didn't agree with her lifestyle or her choices. Something like that's coming through. Yeah, with the dad though, there's definitely it's like overwhelming, the power trip, the control thing, just feeling like he's going to control everything, and can appear to be calm and collected, but definitely has like a tick of like anger issues, rage. As I just connect to this right now, I mean, it feels like he is abusive. So that's just what I'm picking up on. Roberta a little bit as well, but kind of in a go along with the flow because life sucks kind of way is how it feels with her. Cassie. And I also feel like Cassie might have been the one, I don't know if she's the oldest, she must be the oldest, because I feel like when she was younger, she was kind of the favored child. She feels like she listened. I feel like her and mom are close. Like there's a connection there that's a little bit special. And Cassie, I think, has kind of boundary issues with trying to figure out how involved to be with her family. Like she, on one hand, I feel like she wants to run away and hide and never converse with them again, but then she's also very attached to them in like this kind of weird, like dependent way as well. So that's what I pick up on with her energy, but it's like she doesn't know any other way to move on with life but to be connected to her parents in this kind of odd way. But if she was in a healthier mindset, she would just like never talk to them again. Because there's a lot, it's like with her, I just see like up and down kind of emotions and feelings connected to them, like battling herself and not knowing how to set boundaries, but trying to, so it's complicated, I guess.
Yeah, there's a lot of fear and anger in her face.
Fear is a perfect word. Like wants to do good, wants to be good, was, I feel like her whole life felt like she had to live up to some kind of thing, but then would get punished when she wasn't good. And so then it's like her attachment style or something is very off because she feels like she needs to please her parents and be connected to them, and she loves them. It's like an abusive situation as far as a parent-child dynamic goes. But then she's afraid and she just wants to like run off and do her own thing with her own family. But yeah, that feels too lonely for her somehow. So that's what I kind of pick up on. So the dad is like the most angry kind of energy. And then Roberta, she also has anger. But with hers, it's just like so blah, just like mundane, going through the motions. I don't even know how else to, and she would be the kind of person that could be manipulated into doing anything. So even without her own say, she doesn't really have her own say about anything. She goes along with her husband, I believe. So that's just what I'm picking up as far as energy goes from their photos. So what do you think, Lori?
So like we talked about earlier, when someone doesn't have a jawbone, and you see it so much with the mom, she's just, man, there's like nothing there. And dad doesn't really have a jawbone much either. This is just same thing, situational ethics. We're going to do what we need to do, whatever we can get away with, whatever we need to do in the moment. And they're just going to do those things. They don't have firm principles.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, we don't believe that people should do that. It's kind of like a free for all. It's like we're all living in the Wild West, and it's like, well, if you need to do that, just do it, type of thing. And then you pair that with the fact that they have these really flat cheeks, and Brian Laundrie has these very flat cheeks too, extremely flat cheeks. And it gets to a point, if they're flat enough, where in physiognomy, that's somebody who does illegal things for money. So I don't know how they got their money. I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know. I can't read into and see what that is. All I can see is they have the features for this, illegal activity and situational ethics. So basically, they're quite a shady crew if you look at their face, and very negative. There's a negativity to them, and a not nurturing. There's no nurturing going on here with the Laundrie parent. It's just negativity, fear, and violence is going to be how they would have raised their kids, like with a firm hand, scare the crap out of you into obeying, and then just negative. Just I'm sure it's just complaining about everything. It's like seeing everything go wrong all the time, and then when something goes wrong, being like, "See, I told you it wasn't going to work out or go wrong."
Totally
it's like,
pessimistic.
Yeah, that totally pessimistic. That's in their face. It's more so in the mom than the dad. But he's just got this militant type of thing going on in his face. Like I'll do whatever I need to do, but it's just kind of a ruthless, firm, just overly firm hand in him. Then I'm looking at Cassie, and she's interesting to me. She's a very interesting amalgamation of facial features.
Yeah.
She's just also got the negativity thing going. She has a little bit of manipulation in her eyebrows. And also she's got this kind of doormat thing about her as well. So she's an interesting person, definitely not nurtured enough by her mom. That's in her face. You can see that when people have these really tiny mouths, like way too tiny for their face. That's just not having been nurtured, not having been nurtured. And the mom has it in her face too. I'm guessing it's just passed on down, her mom didn't nurture her, so she doesn't nurture her kids. So I'm kind of seeing that in Cassie. I wish I could get like a front on of her face so I could see the shape of her face, but it looks like maybe the lower portion's bigger than the upper. And that's just someone who could be a tyrant if they had their own small country.
But where she gets that from.
Yeah. Right. So just an interesting family, a shady family, doing things they shouldn't be doing. I'm sure if someone went and like really looked into what was going on, they're breaking the law, they're doing some shady stuff. Can't tell what it is, obviously, but it's in their face. The face doesn't lie. It's gonna show it, and spirit doesn't lie. It's gonna come through, and you're just gonna know. So,
and that thing that you're talking about, them being shady, because there's this question: did they know or not? And I feel like they absolutely knew 100%.
I would totally agree with that. I think they absolutely knew. And you had mentioned before that you got a hit that not only did they know, but that they were prepared.
Yep. Yeah. Well, that's what the Gabby's parents think in there. I think they're spot on with that. So they took them on vacation knowing the whole thing and just trying to kind of escape. I don't think they had any idea that this would be as huge as it was, like as far as the news outlets go and everybody trying to figure it out. And so it all kind of blew up in their face, and they're just trying to run away and hide from all of that. And that's what they tried to do. So yeah, definitely shady, not good at all. Bad situation. So I'm going to go to this photo. I wanted to make a little note about this. So this was their van, location of where, I wanted to mention this because you know that I don't know if you know this part, Lori, but it was YouTubers that were going by and like filming and randomly saw her van parked here. It was a completely like by chance thing. And
Wow.
I just want to say, like, as a spiritual medium, I do not believe in coincidences. I believe that the world of spirit and Gabby's soul like led them right to that exact moment. That was not just I mean, it was random, but it wasn't random. It was on purpose that happened that way. So I just wanted to include that photo and mention that. Yesterday, I did a live reading for my membership group. And sometimes I do what's called spirit shout outs, where I just get like different signs and symbols from spirit that are just maybe mean something to somebody, super random things. And I also, before those lives, will see different things like just out and about. And I just know that they're signs from spirit. So that happened yesterday. I had gone on a walk and I saw like 4 butterflies, and I actually saw a black and orange butterfly, which are not normal where I live. It's like, wow, a black and orange butterfly. I didn't think anything of it. Came back and did my live, and the very first thing that I got from my spirit shout out was a pumpkin. And I'm like, that's weird. I'm getting a pumpkin in May, you know, like, why am I getting a pumpkin? And then this morning, actually, before we did this recording, I pulled up these pictures and added them in. And this photo of Gabby, and I was just like, what? She is holding a pumpkin and there's a picture of a butterfly behind her. So it's just, and I just got full body chills. It's like her almost saying that she was with me, even saying that, you know, she was happy that we were doing this and can bring these messages forward, because spirit knows that these things are happening before we even do, and they come through and they kind of align with our energy, and it's just really cool. So I wanted to add that in. Yeah, and what a beautiful soul she was. So do you have any other photos that you want to share?
I don't think so. I think I'll just maybe just pop this one up real quick again, and then we can kind of just give our closing remarks.
Yeah.
I love the messages that she was bringing through, that you know, some mental illness awareness, and just an awareness of domestic violence. And sometimes it's time to leave. Sometimes it's just time to leave. And I think, you know, when your boyfriend's smacking you up and down the road, you know that this was an event that happened that some passerby saw. It's time to go. And had she listened and had she gone, she might still be alive today.
Yeah.
So,
and that's the biggest message. She just wants to spread love to the world and awareness and give women strength, even from the other side. I mean, she really does. She wants to bring awareness to these subjects, and to really, she's saying to do your research, look into it. You know, love shouldn't hurt you in this way.
Yeah.
And so to take a deeper look at why you're staying, if it's losing yourself to help somebody else, that's not worth it. You need to think about yourself too, and what you need and want. And she had a lot of plans in her life. She wanted to help the world. I feel like she wanted to do big things, like creative, and be a helper, and she wanted to leave a legacy. And so this is her way now of leaving a legacy, is to spread this message of just awareness around domestic violence and mental illness. So
well, please let her know that I send my thanks for being on board with us doing this. And
yeah, awesome. Rest in peace, Gabby. And she's absolutely in peace. So anyway, hope you all enjoyed this. Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe. Lori and I have a lot more fun videos coming up. And if you haven't checked out our other ones so far, definitely do that. So thank you so much, Lori. We'll see you all soon. Okay, bye.